Hey everybody, what's going on? Juan here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, traditionally right here at Epic JC, we do unboxing videos, gameplay videos, gaming discussion videos. Really, it all ties up to the topic of entertainment, having a good time, talking about pop culture. And I think that everything that we've been doing up to this point is leading up to this conversation. Most recently, I published a video talking about gaming pre-orders, and that's a very tender topic because we have people that are on both sides of the spectrum, right? One side, they pre-order to play it safe, to make sure that they have their copy of the game. It can be a limited edition or anything like that. And then on the other side, you have people that don't support it because, understandably so, there are a lot of shady business practices involved. But when talking about this video right here, this topic, social media, I feel like although social media is a beautiful thing, it allows people like you and myself to talk. You can follow me on Epic JC on Twitter, or you can even comment right here. And I'm living in Puerto Rico. You can be from Ireland, Europe, any part of the United States, any part of the world. And we can interact, whether we have different tastes and interests or not. We can have that conversation, we can develop friendships, and that to me is amazing. For context, I even met my wife online, and we've known each other for 10 years collectively. Some of my best friends who I even do a podcast with, I've known for over 14 years. And I feel like that context is key for this discussion because when talking about social media, I feel like unfortunately, it truly is becoming our biggest weapon. It's becoming our biggest arsenal to promote bullying, cyberbullying, hatred, and I feel like we have this beautiful thing known as social media, known as a phone. The world is connected right here, but none of us have really, or I shouldn't generalize, I'll say that some of us don't know what power this has, and the power of our voice, the power of what we tweet, the power of what we write can offend people, and I don't think that's the way it should really go about. And yeah, I'm posting this video in 2018, and this is nothing new because I remember growing up. I'm 29 years old. I would use internet when we had dial-up, when we had to use the AOL discs, and I would go to discussion forums and people would often be in disagreements. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, it also allowed many people that were passionate about the same topic to go to a forum, talk about it, have a great time. So this video is going to be a back and forth conversation, and I want it to be just that, a conversation. I'm going to talk about my part. I don't expect everybody to agree with me, but it's something that I've been sitting back and I've been seeing everything that's been happening, and it's sad. It honestly kind of just sucks because I feel like as human beings, we can treat each other better. So I have sort of 3 different tiers. I'm going to be talking about how video games, and I guess you could also apply this to movies and entertainment as a whole, how people misuse or can misuse social media when it comes to that. The second one is going to be more about backlash based on actions. And my example for that is going to be something that recently happened in the WWE with Nia Jax. And I'm not here, if you're not a wrestling fan, to talk about wrestling being fake or not, real or not. This is something very real that happened, and it sort of spiraled out of control on social media. And then to close out the video, we're going to summarize everything by asking one question, and that's why? Why do we do this? You know, we talk about racism, we talk about acceptance, we talk about overcoming everything, yet we sort of sometimes promote the hatred that goes on online. Why is that happening? Is it that we're so passionate about something that we don't even realize we're doing it? I would love to know. Please go to the comments section and let me know because, like I said, I just want to talk about this. I feel like this is going to be more of a rambling, more of a rant video, more of an extended conversation of everything that I'm feeling. So for the first part, I said we're going to be talking about video games, and I think that there are some very obvious things we can talk about that. The first one being console wars, going all the way back to Nintendo versus Sega. Sega does what Nintendo don't. Then you have these big corporations sort of promoting hatred amongst themselves, right? Maybe not so Nintendo, but Sega's strategy was more so, I'm better than you. And I guess maybe fans, consumers, gamers as a whole sort of took that, well, if the company is saying that, then I guess I got to say that as well. So if I'm a fan of Sega and you're a fan of Nintendo, I guess I got to say I'm better than you because that's directly or indirectly what the campaign, the marketing campaign is telling me to do. And most recently, I think the most obvious example when we talk about hatred being promoted through social media with video games has got to be review scores. I'm somebody that admittedly so back in the day, I want to say like up until 2008, 2009, I did care about review scores, but ever since then, I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and for me, a game can be 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 10 if you want. You can go the extra mile, and that doesn't really do me anything because I don't look at the review score. I look at the person that is reviewing the game. I can give a game 7 out of 10, but maybe I don't like that genre. At the same time, I can give a game a 10 out of 10 to a genre that I thought I would never like, but I played this game and I'm like, wow, this really shifted my perspective on this genre, so I'm going to give it a shot. But based on perception and the comments that I see online, I don't think a lot of people really take time to really get to know the reviewer. A really good example, let's remove ourselves from video game for a couple of seconds and talk about movies. Rotten Tomatoes. People go to the website and they look at the tomato score to see if the movie is certified fresh or if it is rotten, without really taking into account that it's not one person, it's not one guy or gal going there saying, hey, this movie is like a 27% maybe. It's a conglomerate of people reviewing a particular product and they put out a score based on that. You know, they do the math and that's the outcome. But when you go online, I've seen so many friends generalize and saying that I don't get why people trust Rotten Tomatoes, and that's not really how it works. You can't just generalize something. A really good example, we had some big controversy this year with a Dead Cells review published on IGN. I'm not going to give the person any more credit because they don't deserve any. There was a lot of plagiarism involved, and even before that, for years, I remember people poking fun at IGN saying, hey, IGN is paid to write reviews. Whenever they give a 10 out of 10, it's because they were paid to do so. There are a lot of things that have made people go sort of uncertain and not trust a company. So when a situation does happen like the Dead Cells review, people just take the pitchforks and they say, well, it's not just that one guy, it's IGN. IGN does plagiarism. If it's a 10 out of 10 score, it's not the reviewer that gives the score, it's IGN. You can't just generalize everything because otherwise we're going to keep generalizing out of every single thing, and one little action is going to mean consequences for thousands upon millions of people. And it sounds like I'm exaggerating things a little bit, but think about that. Think about your day-to-day life. Actually, let's take it away from video games and everything. We're going to go off the rails here. Think about your favorite restaurant. You sit there, you're waiting for the waiter or the waitress to attend you, and they don't come. And it's been like 8 minutes, and you're getting impatient. And yes, this has happened to me. And by the time they get there, they attend you, but you're already thinking like, well, you're late. I'm not going to give you enough tip. You're already assuming things without knowing what is happening. Say you go to leave a review, and even though the food was excellent, you're generalizing because you're saying, well, the waiter or the waitress wasn't good, but the food was awesome, so 4 out of 10, because why not? And then to take things one step further, imagine that you have a friend that wants to go to that restaurant and you say, don't go there because the service is awful. You could provide the context of saying, well, this one person that attended me did not give me the best service, but the food was awesome. Or you could just choose the easy route and say, well, everything was bad about it. Don't even bother going there. It's a very big difference. And I think that we are all guilty of doing that because we're human beings, people. We're not perfect. We have emotions. The thing is, if we don't necessarily take control of our emotions, then bad things can happen. Other people can be hurt, even though we're saying, well, that's their job. Those are human beings. And I guarantee you and me and everybody else that is maybe older that works, we've all had a bad day. And we can't just generalize one bad day into everything else. Okay, now let's bring it back a little bit because I think we got carried away, but at the same time, I think that example does a pretty good job of explaining how I feel about this. Let me know what you think. And now I want to talk about the situation that happened in the WWE very recently with a WWE superstar by the name of Nia Jax. They were part of a brawl happening in the ring leading up to a big event happening on Sunday called Survivor Series. And at one part, they're doing this thing where everybody's beating each other up, and there's a fellow female superstar behind her, and when she turns around, bam, she gets her right in the face. She didn't break her nose. She broke Becky Lynch's face. She actually gave her a concussion, so that is a hell of a powerful punch if you ask me. And then what happened is that because she was injured and she suffered the concussion, then the big match, one of the biggest matches for the event on Sunday, which was Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, had to be called off. And then Ronda Rousey had to get a replacement opponent, and that's going to be Charlotte Flair. But the fact of the matter is that Nia Jax, this is not the first time this year even that she's had other people be injured as a result of her actions. And I'll be honest, I was part of the pack when this originally started happening, before this event even took place, that said, well, maybe send her back to developmental. For everything, this is a craft. You know, with wrestling, you're not out there to actually injure your opponent. The goal is that you look like you're hurting the opponent, so it looks real, but you're actually taking care of each other. So I don't think that whenever Nia Jax goes out there, she's going out there with the intention of, haha, I'm going to go out there and injure everybody. So I'm sort of here standing in the ring by myself. But regardless, these things are happening. Now, we're sort of in the middle. We're the fans. We're consuming the product. We're consuming the shows. We're not behind the scenes. If I was her supervisor, I'd possibly suspend her or ask her to get some additional training just to make sure that you're not going out there injuring my people, because obviously the fact that that big match is no longer taking place, even though we are getting a version of it, it's going to lose sales. I personally lost interest, and I may not actually watch that show live. Instead, I'll pick and choose what I want to watch afterwards. But here's the thing. Nia Jax has a Twitter account. Many people have a Twitter account, and you know where this is going. People would not just send her messages saying you're careless. They would say things that I can't even put up on screen. I'm not even going to point out. That's not how we should go about it, because everybody makes mistakes. Has it been her first mistake? No. Has it been her third or fourth or even fifth mistake? Admittedly not. So I'm just sitting here going like, why doesn't anybody take action? I don't care what's actually happening, you know, behind the scenes. The fact of the matter is that people are going out there and they are getting hurt. And yes, these are accidents, but like everything, there have to be some kind of actions that we can take to reduce these injuries from taking place. And maybe in her case, she's not all that experienced, and that's why it's happening, right? But then we go to Twitter, we go to all of the social media, YouTube, which has a very hateful section. Luckily, I hope that we never develop that here in Epic GC. I would personally love to have a smaller community that is more passionate and accepting of one another than to promote hatred. But then we go out there, you know, generally speaking, and we just point the person out and saying, you're wrong, you should die. There have been death threats received. And this is not just Nia Jax. This is one example. If you follow Philip DeFranco, any of these news media outlets on YouTube, or even if you go to any mainstream media outlet, you see that these hatred attacks are very much real. And very little needs to be done to trigger people into just calling them out and doing some cyberbullying and creating this trauma. And let's not forget that the people in the WWE, this is their job. This is not their hobby that they do on the side. This is their professional career. And imagine that you're at your job, whether it's at a Burger King or McDonald's, and you make a mistake. Imagine you pull out your phone to check, you know, any cute dog pictures, and you're like, oh, everybody found out that I made a mistake, and this person wants me to die. This person's calling me fat. This person's calling me useless. And my mother's also on social media looking at this information. Maybe I'm a parent and my child also has access to this. We are human beings that can easily be hurt. We can easily be offended. And I'm not saying we should be overly politically correct, because I think that's another topic. Personally, I think that we want it to become so politically correct that we're now just calling out every little thing that doesn't go according to that route. So on one hand, I think this can really boil down to opinions and accessibility, because, for example, my name is Juan. You can call me Epic JC. That's been my Twitter handle for many years, and I'm 29 years old. But there can be somebody on Twitter that's called XXX Omega Lord 85, and you're like, oh man, that is a grown adult, and it can be a 10-year-old kid. And if a parent doesn't sit down with that child and teaches them the implications of social media, there can be a lot of consequences. There can be death threats, there can be bomb threats. I mean, who knows what can happen? We have seen so many terrible things happen this year alone that we know a lot of bad things can happen, right? And then the question becomes, what can we really do about it? So what happens when that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old has a Twitter account, goes online because they found out about something and they're complaining about it, somebody responds to them, and their first response to that person is, well, F you, I don't like you, I hope you die. And then the other person goes back, and where everybody, before you know it, is simply put promoting hatred. I have a lot of friends that I don't necessarily agree with their opinion, but I call them out on that. I tell them, hey, I don't agree with your opinion, but I understand where you're coming from. Maybe I don't agree with it, but I can actually sit back and be like, okay, it makes sense. You know, trying to put myself in your shoes. This is why you're thinking about X and Y. Therefore, this is your logical conclusion. At the same time, they can see the same thing about me, and I'll be like, okay. My regular day-to-day job is doing public speaking, and this happens a lot. And the most important thing is that we can't take everything personally, because just because you disagree with me, you can be disagreeing with me throughout all this video, and you're warming up those hands. You're like stretching. You're like, oh man, once he tells me to hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to call Juan on everything and why he's wrong. And even if you did that, I would accept you for it. Sure, I would cry afterwards, but no, really, like, I will be okay with it, because that's what this is about. It's about accepting the fact that you and me can differ in opinions, but we can both go, okay, I'm not going to tell you to die. Okay, I'm not going to tell you this or that, because we can be grown individuals that can have an actual logical conversation about a topic. And we've talked about the difference of opinion, but I think that another part, and maybe even the bigger chunk, is we can be really passionate about a certain topic. And I mean, look at my background. Based on this, you can assume that maybe I'm a little egotistical. No, this was developed by a fan, by a longtime supporter, so that's why I proudly display that. But you can assume I'm a big gamer. I love me some video games. And you know that there's people that love video games and people that hate video games. And I've had a lot of people come up to me when I wear a video game shirt, or if I'm talking about video games at work, and they say, video games do nothing but promote violence and hatred. In my case, my wife and I first really bonded and met each other by playing Unreal Tournament 2004. With some of my friends, we would play wrestling games and Left 4 Dead. So if I were to generalize based on that, I should be like the worst individual, yet here I am. I'm married, I have friends, I have great relationships. Through Extra Life, we've shown the power of gaming, how we can actually do something for the kids, in this case, for the San Jorge Children's Foundation of Puerto Rico. And that's because of video games. That is 500% thanks to the video game community. But once again, if I want to generalize everything, gamers as a whole, we're about to nothing. We're lazy bastards. We're not. So whether you're a gamer, you're a movie fan, you're a fan of entertainment, you're a fan of keeping up with the news, and you're waiting for something to happen, you're waiting for this thing to buzz, to go off, you have the notifications turned on, and you see that, and you go like, oh, somebody finally disagreed with me, let's go back. We got to control that passion a little bit, because this is spiraling out of control. If an accident happens like what happened with Nia Jax, sure, you can write something online about, hey, be careful. Hey, require some additional training so that doesn't happen, because I guarantee you that she probably doesn't feel great about that. And I'm going to add a subtopic to passion, which is obsession, because I think that we've become too much of a meme culture. We become a culture based on reactions. We have YouTube channels that are solely about reactions. You're watching this video right now because you probably saw the headline, social media, our biggest weapon, and you're like, oh, let's see what this guy's doing. Let's see his reaction. So even myself included, I'm part of that. But what happens is that we got to scale it back, because I'm having a conversation here, but I could also be having a video of moving the camera around and yelling consistently and smash that like button. I could do that. All of us could do that. Just because we can do something doesn't mean we should, especially when it comes to social media. So if there's any takeaway that I hope anybody watching this can have, is that evaluate yourself, analyze those around you, because maybe you and me, we see each other eye to eye 100%. We need to have the responsibility of trying to help others see a different way. I'm not talking about changing other people's opinions. I'm in the mindset that people believe what they want to believe, right? And I'm actually saying that in a good way. I own a lot of video games that people tell me are bad, but I like them. Some of my favorite movies of all time are movies that my friends tell me like, really? You like that? And that's my opinion. Now, they can make the case for why the movie is bad. I can make the case for why the movie is good. And that back-to-back discussion, that back-to-back conversation is, I think, what makes all of us better. It stimulates this thing we call a brain behind our skin, behind our skull. We gotta massage this thing, people. Everybody, just massage this right now. If you're on mobile, that would be kind of weird because your phone would fall off. But I think this is where I'm going to be ending the video. I think I've rambled long enough, and I feel better. I think this is also therapeutic for me. I've said it in almost every video that I put out recently that this channel for me is therapy. I hit the record button, and I'll be honest, for this week, I was like, there's nothing I really want to talk about. I have an upcoming video I want to do. I have an agenda of videos, but I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I could do that, and I could edit it and put it out. And I know hypothetically that the video quality is good. It sounds good, but I wasn't feeling this. And I feel like with this topic, I feel a lot better. And I cannot wait for your reactions. I cannot wait for your responses. Please don't hesitate. Go there. And more so than respecting me and me respecting you, everybody that is watching this right now, please respect each other. That is the one thing that I hope we can take away from not just this video, but for the channel as a whole. If you go to another channel and you see hatred, I know that we're going to be tempted to almost call out that person for being hateful, but we can be hateful in the process. How would you do that differently? Challenge yourself to doing something different and better each and every day. Hopefully I made sense. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you did, this is where I'm going to say it. You can hit that subscribe. You can hit that thumbs up. You can follow me on social media and let me know what you think. Seriously, I'm like a kid in a candy store right now where I cannot wait to get your responses. And let me know if you want me to do any other videos like this. I haven't done a more personal video in a while. I have a life section, just talking about lifestyle in the YouTube channel, but that's because I'm in Puerto Rico. We had Hurricane Maria last year, so for a while, the channel did become an update about what was happening with Hurricane Maria, but I feel like gaming and life and conversations and discussions is what I absolutely love to talk about. So if you want me to do some more stuff like this, go to the comment section and let me know what you think, as well as check out a cast of the past right here on YouTube. We put out a brand new episode every Sunday. Once again, a group of people that we've known each other for over 14 years. People, Canada, Boston, and Puerto Rico. We've had a friendship for over 14 years. It is truly fascinating. I love Ryan and Keith. I love everybody for watching. Thank you for taking your time to consume this content, and hopefully we can get some more conversations. So don't forget that this video has concluded, but the epic journey most definitely continues. So thank you for watching, gang. Take care. I'm really passionate about something. I realize, and you're probably going to realize this the moment I say it, but whenever I'm really into something, my hands just go everywhere. I'm like Squidward right now, just without the huge nose or something. But I feel good. Hopefully you do too.